Welcome to the Synergy Sisters podcast with hosts Debbie Prediger and Mary Gervais, two super connectors at heart who love building powerful relationships with visionaries and thought leaders. We act as a focal gathering point for people, ideas, dreams, and enterprises. We know that collaborations, connections, and trusted real relationships unfold naturally as you tune into your intuition. What is your heart whispering? We love to explore the big, audacious dreams of heart-centered entrepreneurs as they step into their leadership roles. We love weaving business and marketing strategy with spiritual development, energetics, and growth mindset.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Light Podcast. We are so excited, my co-host Debbie Prediger and I, to have with us today Jennifer Cavender. And this is going to be a real treat because Jennifer brings so much joy and light into all that she does. But I am excited to dive deep because really her initial background in corporate America was in finance. And now she has moved into corporate training, speaking, joy-filled trainings, and it has really been quite a shift. So I am very excited about what is going to unfold today. And Debbie, I'm going to hand it over to you to say hello, and then we will bring in Jennifer.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary, so much for introducing Jennifer a little bit. And I want to add a little piece of it. I've gotten to know Jennifer personally as a friend and someone that is definitely a family person. She loves, having that family close, and I consider myself part of her family. So it is really a pleasure to have her with us here today to talk about, all the skill sets and all of the vision that she brings forward for her clients. So Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to just jump right in and ask that question that I love to ask is, if you were meeting somebody for the first time and you got to introduce yourself just from that heart space, who would you say Jennifer Cavender is?
Yes, such a beautiful question. First of all, thank you for the beautiful introduction. And yes, of course, you are like family. I don't have a large family, so I tend to gather others around me and I choose my family. And you are a beautiful member of that. But yes, so who is Jennifer Cavender? It's such a powerful question to ask yourself on a regular basis because these things can shift, right? And who I was a few years ago was someone who was tired and burnout and didn't feel like I knew I had a purpose, but I didn't feel like I was in my purpose or accomplishing it or working towards anything that I loved. And today I would say I am a person who is all about my purpose and finding the light inside that is meant to shine for the others. And so many people, as they have spoken into my life, mentors and friends have said, there is a light in you and it is meant to shine so brightly. And you're just getting started. This is just the beginning. So I would say, in short, I'm purposeful. I am intentional about my values and how I go about life.
Wow, I love that. I can feel your heart, and I know that others can feel it as well. Now, before I hand it over to Mary for that question, I have to ask, how is the program that you've created, and how do your clients feel and benefit from that version of Jennifer?
Yeah. So what I've created really was birthed out of my own frustration and pain in being a CPA, in a public accounting firm. Going into businesses, I was an auditor, so I was going into businesses, physically sitting in their spaces for weeks at a time, and really loving to get to know the people and the culture, but realizing that I couldn't really serve them in a way that I knew I would love to, because I was paid to do the numbers. And what I saw was that there was a difference in organizations when they had a positive culture, when their people were happy, when their leaders were engaged. But I couldn't share any of those things. So once I left that career 21 years later, I really created this ability for businesses to create joyful cultures, because I had started doing research and found so many benefits, not only financially, but the impact that businesses have on their mission. When you have a joyful culture, when your employees are thriving, and when you are a compassionate leader. So the program is really about 4 pillars that I noticed throughout my career, as well as in the research, that really help businesses to start to impact their employees and the company as a whole, with this idea of having a joyful culture.
Wow. Jennifer, I love that. I feel your passion, and I agree with you. We need that joy. We need that inclusivity in the workplace. And I do want to go on and hear about the 4 pillars. But before that, when I have a burning question that kept coming up when you were speaking, what was that point, or what was that thing that had you shift? It was like that aha moment where you said, I am not living my passion. And what was that turning point for you?
It's so clear in my mind, Mary. And when you ask, I shiver a bit just because when I go back to that moment, and it was about 4 years ago now. And, COVID had just begun. It was July 4th, which is a holiday for us in the US. And when COVID began, we were all working so much more. I had been on a project that started at the beginning of the year, and we were really struggling through this project. And then COVID, and it made it even harder. And I was working 60, 70-hour work weeks, never leaving my office and my home, right? Because we couldn't go anywhere. And here I was on July 4th at 6 p.m. in the evening. I had missed every birthday that year so far, from January to July. I had been working. I had missed every holiday. My father passed away. I took 1 day off. It was really the worst part of my career in that 21 years. And I was sitting at my computer as I'm hearing fireworks start to go off outside my window, and my kids and my family are in the other room, just like watching a movie when we should be out, eating hot dogs and having fun. And I had in the last 4 days, that was a Sunday, and in the last 4 days I had worked 70 hours. And I said, okay, this is the end. I am not doing this anymore. This is the total end. And from that point on, I decided that within a year, I was going to figure out something better for my life and for my career. And it didn't even take a year. It was a little over 9 months from that point.
Wow. I got shivers through the whole story, because I viscerally too could feel like the emotion and the disruption that you are going through. So you hit this point and you're like, okay, I'm here. Walk us through those steps that you took and how you planned out that year, because this is really, I know that you teach this, but this is, oh my gosh, this is such good, I'm going to say, joy and powerful information for our listeners to hear, because I know that you are very strategic.
Yeah. So it was about from that point in July, it was about until September, I think, when, we're all working remote. And I had a prospective client come to us, and this was a nonprofit, and they were really struggling in their accounting and finance department because they had grown really fast. So they had made an acquisition, and they had some organic growth, and their accounting department just couldn't keep up. They lost they had 4 controllers in the span of 9 months. The director of the department was working 18-hour days, and they just couldn't keep up, and everyone was stressed and burnout. And that executive director of that organization looked at me through the screen and said, Jennifer, I just want my accounting department to have more joy. And I don't think she knew what she was even asking for at the moment, but it was one of those things that just hits you to your core. Right? And I sat back in my chair, and I had others in the room, thankfully, because it stunned me, and my mind started really working. From that point on, I thought, gosh, isn't that what we all want out of our career? We want to enjoy it. We want to go home and feel like we have done something important. And we want to be in that space when we're working and really love what we're doing and feel appreciated and all of the things. So I started doing research and I started finding, all of these powerful things that impacted businesses, like, impacting them in ways that are increasing productivity when employees are happy, things that reduce sick days when employees are happy, more creativity in the workplace when we're happier. And so I knew that we had something, and it took me about another 6 or 8 months to really decide that this was my purpose and this was the light I was meant to shine. And in May of the following year, I walked into my firm, and I didn't know it even hours before that, but I got off of the elevator in the high-rise building in Orange County, and I said, oh, this is the day. And I gave notice that day.
Wow, Mary, I love those questions. And now I just have to know, you talk a lot about strategy and numbers and even research. So I know that your logical brain really has a play in all that you do. But I also know that you're very intuitive and very guided. How do you manage those two things to come up to this beautiful harmony that you create for yourself and your clients?
Oh man, it's such a great question, Debbie, because I was so trained in the logical brain for so many years. And the reason that I selected my career as an accountant was because I wanted to feel safe and secure, which was a very logical response to not feeling safe and secure financially as I was growing up. But as I was getting to probably the last 4 years of my career, I really started to step into, okay, I need to show up who I really am in this place if I want, to enjoy my career. And at that time, I thought I was just going to make my current situation a little better. And so when I started to really expose who I was in my workplace and sort of show up in the authentic person that I was, I wasn't always well put together, maybe. I had things going on that I worried about. I didn't always know the answers. And I really cared about the person across from me that I was working with. That's when I really started to notice my teams responding better to me. And so just really getting to know them and to connect with them, I found how much I loved people. And so that really was the beginning of my sort of heart-centered business that I live and run now, is because I just started to be me and show up as me and realized how much I loved other people as I allowed them to be them.
Wow, I love that. I mean, you talk about you're being open, you're being vulnerable, you're carrying that empathetic side of you, the real just you. This is me, this is who I am. And that is what allows us to connect with others. And it's such a beautiful journey that you talk about. And Jennifer, you're talking about joy and emphasizing the joy in the workplace. Can you share with us an example of how, in your current work and what you're doing, I'd love for you to maybe talk about your 4 pillars, how that has directly impacted an organization? Either it could be their growth, their performance, however you want to talk, whatever you'd like to say about that.
Yeah, I think the best example is what I did with my teams even before I left. Because as I was researching this and we were struggling so much through this new sort of remote work environment and in this really difficult project, as I was doing the research, I started changing things within my own team. And I was like, okay, let's test some of this out. Um, and the 4 pillars really are connecting your people with the mission, vision, values. I mean, we talk about this in businesses all the time, but I never really saw people actually doing it. What would they do? Put the mission and vision, post it up on a wall. Read it once a year during an annual meeting. Maybe put it in an email signature. That wasn't connecting them with their mission, right? So one of the first things that I did with my team as we finished that project after that horrible 4th of July, we were able to finish it and then started it again, because when you're doing audits, they're annual, right? That was the first thing that I changed, is that connection with what are we doing as a team and what is each individual person's role in achieving that, and really helping them understand how their strengths, which is the second pillar, connect and impact that mission and that goal. So, oh, you mean what I do well is actually really important to what we're accomplishing as a team? Absolutely. And how can we get you to do more of what you're doing well? Instead of, we were always looking for people to work on the things that they didn't do well. And then the things that they did well, we were like, yeah, just push those aside. So the connecting with vision, mission, connecting with strengths, and connecting individuals together amongst the team were the first 3 pillars that I built. And then connecting with your own joy is the piece that connects all 3 of those together. So as we started this project again, we were able to take that team who was over budget, late on all of the deadlines, frustrated, nobody wanted to work on the project, to a team that was excited, under budget, which was amazing to me because I almost never saw a project go in 1 year from over budget to under budget, met all of our deadlines, and the team was super excited to be on the team. One of the individuals actually got a promotion based on the results from that engagement. So that's when I knew it worked.
Wow. So I love that example of how much can shift when you come from a place of joy. And I know that you talk about that. It's not chasing the joy, it's really anchoring in your joy. I would like to go down the role of how have you created this in your own workplace? Because you now are a solopreneur, but you have experts that you bring in as a resource. And I think that, like Mary and I, we believe that we're not meant to do this alone. It is our passion, it is our purpose. We're stepping into it, but there is somebody else that's meant to be with you on this journey. Can you tell us a little bit, first and foremost, of why you came to that as joy as your anchor? And then how did you choose the people that you're collaborating with?
Yeah. So one of my mottos is joy is my fuel, because for so many years I was chasing a joyful life. And I thought I had to work hard enough in order to get there, or there was something that I wasn't doing yet because I didn't have this joy. And now what I realize is that when joy is a choice, and when I can start everything from a place of joy, that's when I get the most bang for my buck, the most power. And I can realize that there's joy in every circumstance, regardless of what's going on outside of you. Joy comes from within. And one of the ways that, as you mentioned, that I love creating joy is with collaborations and inclusion and connecting with other like-minded individuals. And so I kind of built a little personal board of directors of individuals that have similar passions, that know this joy to be their fuel as well, and they have a broad and diverse background, also in corporate, which can help serve my purpose. So, helping deliver content and being a really amazing referral source for other things that I don't do. So, people in branding and marketing, people who are experts in AI, finance and accounting, leadership empowerment, as Debbie is so great at, sales. One of the women in this group has written a book about bullying and how to tame the bullying within and without, which is so powerful in the corporate world. So this is just a little example of how it's just one of the things I love to do, because I love connection and I love utilizing people's strengths and skills in any way possible.
Wow. And I love you are basically creating a meaningful impact with joy and love and the workplace. And that is magical. I want to touch on that a little because we're talking about the meaningful impact. And what is the legacy that you would hope to leave, both in the corporate world and in your personal life with, this work that you're doing, because it is truly phenomenal.
Yeah, I just, in both spaces, I want people to know that it's not always about the work and the stress and I have to, I have to make it hard in order to be joyful and happy and to have the life that I desire. It doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't require you to degrade your health, your mental health, and your spiritual health in order to have a life that you love. It's actually the opposite. And just in the way that I've flipped the script on, getting to a joyful place to starting with joy, I feel like that's the case with everything, in that you start with a healthy body, mind, and spirit, and all of the other things are added to us once we are solid in those.
Wow, I love it. So you led me right into my next question, which is spiritual health. I believe that in order to have this whole, everything that we're talking about, being able to shine our light, have that really tapped in intuition, to be able to have that guidance system and harmony in our worlds and that transformation that we're all looking to achieve ourselves, but also to provide for our clients. There is spiritual health that I guess what I'm wanting to say is when we have it, there's this feeling within us that we're unstoppable. And I've witnessed you, Jennifer, be able to hold space in the middle of a chaotic situation where you were able to transform the energy and the spiritual health and awareness in the room to a place where transformation could happen. Now, whether you know the instance that I'm talking about or not, I would love for you to share with us what that feels like from your perspective, the person that's actually creating that space and transferring that energy to that spiritual health.
For me, the key to that is really coming from a place of compassion and empathy for the other person. Because when you enter a room and you recognize that it would be more helpful for the energy to shift in this room, it's so powerful to come from a place of understanding where they are in that moment, and maybe a little bit about why they're there in that space energetically. Because when you can feel that, it's not a force, or you're not combating anything. You're just coming alongside, holding a hand, allowing them to feel like it's okay to be where they are. And there's also a process of being in a more powerful place for what we want to do next, right? And so for me, that is really the key. And I feel like it is a little bit of a gift that I have to understand that place where people are pretty quickly.
Well, it is definitely a gift. So I'm glad that you recognize that as a superpower. And I think that the reason that I wanted to bring light to this is that it's so important that you have this extraordinary skill, gift that you bring to corporate and to the situations where they aren't always just a decision to come from joy, right? I'm imagining a time where maybe the head of the corporation wants you to come in, but maybe not everybody else is willing to see it from this place. And so being able to shift the energy in the room in that way, and everybody feels seen and heard and valued, is a gift that you have and that I wanted to shine light on here today. So Mary, do you have any final questions for Jennifer?
Jennifer, this is so beautiful. And I just go back to, you are holding space, and then you're holding space, but then you're creating the flow. Your magic is that you intertwine and you weave in that light and that energy that brings the flow, either if it's just at a starting point or to keep it going. And I mean, such an incredible gift to have. I am going to ask you to leave us with what would be two things that would help others, practices to help them stay aligned, with their own flow, with their values, when they're stuck and maybe they're just, they're not in that good space. So can you share two things that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah. So one of them is is really the process of the chair of joy, what we call the chair of joy. And this is a 4-step process of sitting, breathing, thinking, and feeling. And when you're in a place of feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, and you almost don't want to do anything, right? Sometimes we just lose all motivation to do anything. We have been given magical moments in our life. And when we can tap into those magical moments from the past and use them in the present, it's really powerful. So when you take a minute to decide, okay, I am in a place that is not necessarily going to be helpful for what I need to do next, and I desire to shift, and you can take a few deep breaths and recall a joyful moment from the past, you can actually re-feel the emotions of that moment. And when you start to change the chemistry in your body, it starts to change your motivation. And so your mind and your body start working together to shift you out of that stuck place. And it's really, really powerful. The second thing I would say is really that, and I've been so in tuned with this lately, is moving your body and being outside. Just the simple act of standing up from your chair and walking outside can be one of the more powerful things in your day if you allow it to. So yes, those are the two that are most powerful for me.
Wow, thank you so much. I love that you talked about taking yourself outside, but also as somebody that was working in a corporate environment, what a gift to have a leader say, let's all go outside. So, wow, powerful opportunities here for us all to shift. Jennifer, you create workshops for corporations and events, and you also speak at conferences and different opportunities. Can you tell us what a collaboration or an invite might look like that you would absolutely say yes to?
Yeah, so from the speaking aspect, it could be keynotes at annual meetings or large gatherings of teams to really motivate a team and to help them in the progress of what they're about to do. And from the delivery, the service aspect of there's a one-on-one coaching for executives that I do, which is really powerful. We actually go through those 4 pillars on an individual basis. And then we can take those 4 pillars also and implement it throughout an entire culture. So those are really the 3 offerings that I love to do.
Nice. Do you have any events coming up that we should be aware of, or how can people connect with you right now today to learn about upcoming events?
Yeah, so I'm always doing events. The best place to stay up to date is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I do LinkedIn audio events from time to time, as well as workshops on Zoom. And those events are always posted there on my LinkedIn page.
Perfect. We will put all of that information in this recording. Jennifer, it has been so pleasurable to get to know you better. Every time I hear you speak, I feel a deeper depth of purpose and compassion and connection. And so today, thank you so much for just joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so blessed.
Thank you.
We've loved connecting with you today. And as always, we sign off with love and light, trusting that each listener knows in their heart they were created for greatness. We can easily see that greatness in you, and we would love to be part of your journey to your highest path of creating and living the life that you love. We'd love to have you join our community of heart-led world changers, visionaries, and thought leaders. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can find us on all socials as The Synergy Sisters.
Hey everyone, it's Debbie Prediger, and I am here to say thank you. Thank you for watching or listening, depending on which platform you're on, to our season 2 of the Synergy Sisters Collective Light podcast. And my call to action to you is, do you want to be part of a community that is all about light, all about showing up in this world and collaborating and linking arms? If this sounds like you, and if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, we want to hear from you. This is Mary Gervais and Debbie Prediger, the Synergy Sisters, that are inviting you into this global collective, and we welcome you.